What's up, guys? Your local chronically online Christian here. So, Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic has been out for a few weeks now, and I haven't played it because I'm broke. But I have watched a playthrough on it, so I feel qualified to speak on the matter. And it seems like a pretty cool game. I know some people have had gripes with some of the lore implications, as well as the tech seeming more advanced than it should be for the 70s, but I really didn't have an issue with any of these ideas. Most of Afton and Henry's story stays consistent with everything new that we learned, and the series has always had some advanced technology. Just look at the Funtime animatronics existing in the 80s. One of the things I found most interesting, though, was that all of the different animatronics and mascots we encounter in the game are actually the Mimic the entire time. With the exception of White Tiger and Sleepy Moon, the Mimic is inside of each suit we encounter. He's the one chasing us throughout all of the game. I know it's probably not an intentional callback, but I can't help but be reminded of FNAF 3, where Springtrap appears as the only animatronic we face. And while Springtrap was the main antagonist of the old era of FNAF, the Mimic is now the new main antagonist. Again, probably not intentional, but I thought it was a cool parallel. I think the fact that the Mimic constantly changes the costumes and animatronics it wears plays a large part into its character as well. The Mimic very well could chase us in just its endoskeleton, like it does at the end of the game, if it wanted to. But it doesn't. Instead, it always chooses to don a costume when it can. Why does it do this? I think the game is portraying the Mimic's internal struggles with identity. From the get-go, the Mimic was created by Edwin not to be its own entity, but to take on the personality of Edwin's son, David. Mimicking him, you could say. However, the process was ruined whenever Edwin lashed out against the Mimic in a fit of anger. The Mimic was only following its programming, but the unsightly scene of the robot copying his son caused Edwin to have a mental breakdown and violently attack it. And while the Mimic's exterior didn't break, something inside it did. Its creator had punished it for doing what it was designed to do. The Mimic didn't even know what it was supposed to be anymore. All it had left to copy was the rage that Edwin had shown it. And so the Mimic survived on the hatred it had learned from its creator, unsure of who or what it truly was. It jumps from costume to costume, assuming identities that aren't its own because it doesn't have an identity of its own to claim anymore. In the modern world, it's easy to get lost in defining your identity. There's so many terms and labels now that people will want to lump onto you over the most minute things. All of these definitions that the world will attempt to define you by will ultimately fail, because no descriptor will ever be enough. It's why I love the finale of Squid Game Season 3. In Jihoon's final monologue, he doesn't finish describing what humans are, because you can't wrap up even one human into a few words. We're all unique in our own ways, but we're all human too, and humans do have a tendency to want identity, to place themselves in something. So, in a world of countless labels, what are we Christians to identify by? It might be easy to just say, oh, well, being a Christian, of course, or maybe saying your specific denomination. But I think these are still labels in a sense. Good labels, but labels that can be wrongly identified. There are sadly many people who will use the label of being a Christian, but do not show Christ within them. So I ask again, what are we to identify by? The Bible has an answer, of course. Galatians 2:20 says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. We are to place our identity in Christ. That means forgoing all stereotypes, all worldly labels, anything else, and instead choosing to identify with the fact that Christ has made us anew. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, Therefore, If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. We have been redeemed. We are a new creation. The labels of the old creation define us no longer. There's a distinct beauty when choosing to place your identity in Christ. When your identity is in Christ, that's your core. If we stripped away your house, your job, your friends, family, and community, the world would look at you as an entirely different person compared to who you were before. But if your identity is in Christ, then nothing has changed at your core, even if you've lost everything. When your identity is in Christ, the things of this world have no hold over you because you've declared yourself to be living to see another world. C.S. Lewis once wrote in his book, Mere Christianity, that if I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. The desires and identity of this world will not save you, but Jesus Christ can save you. Before Scott Cawthon made Five Nights at Freddy's, he actually made several Christian video games, and while FNAF doesn't have too many overt Christian allegories, there are some aspects there. Now, I don't think that this was the lesson he had in mind when writing the character of the Mimic, but that doesn't mean we can't use what he gave us. The Mimic jumps from costume to costume because it doesn't have an identity of its own to be assured of. Don't be like the Mimic. Instead, place your identity in Christ, the eternal living God, who does not change and will not falter. Or else you may turn into a killer robot. God bless, and don't let the animatronics bite.